G'day everyone, welcome back to MMA Fan TV. Today we're going to be doing a video on UFC Fight Night, or UFC Vegas 25, Dominic Reyes versus Yuri Procházka. So, don't have a lot of time today to get through all the fights. We'll be mainly going through the main card. So, we may as well start off with Reyes versus Prahashka. So, where I like to start when I'm looking at this fight is that they both fought Ozdemir, and Reyes won by a split decision in his fight against Ozdemir, and Yuri Prahashka beat him by knockout. So I've just got a few notes here that I'm looking over. So Yuri's only had one fight in the UFC, but he has fought a few guys in Japan who were formerly in the UFC. His current record at this point in time is 27-3-1, and 24 of those by TKO. So in his last fight against Ozdemir, it was a very weird, high energy fight. He was fighting hands low, really swinging for the fences. He was getting tagged. He wasn't getting hurt, but he has huge explosive power. I think he could be the hardest hitting light heavyweight in the division. He says that he's cleaned up his defenses a little bit, so we may see a different Prahashka in this fight. He may be a little bit more defensive, but with a win, 24 knockouts, you'd be thinking he'll be going for the knockout. Again, loves to use his boxing. He threw a few kicks in the last fight, but ultimately it was just the use of his hands that got it done. Now, Reyes is coming off a 2-fight losing streak, and he hasn't lost to any scrubs by any means. He's lost to John Jones and Jan Blachowicz. So where I like to start looking at this one is he's fought Ozdemir as well. His victory against Ozdemir wasn't as convincing as Prahashka. Obviously, he won with a split decision. So he had a bit of a coaching change after the Jones fight. So I'm not really sure if I'm underestimating him because he's lost a couple of times. I mean, Jones, you could argue he won. Blachowicz wasn't his night. Something wasn't quite right, I feel, that night. So he won the split decision against Ozdemir. He was using his left leg to throw a lot of kicks in that fight, and his straight left, which we all know is one of his best weapons. Yuri is the favourite in this fight compared to Reyes. It's pretty close looking at the odds. In Australia, we don't do the minus and the plus, whatever. It really makes no sense to me. Here on our betting apps, we use a slightly different system. So Yuri's a favourite at $1.75, and Prahashka is at, Reyes is at $2.08. Looking at this fight, I think Yuri could overwhelm Reyes with his power, similar to Jan did in the Reyes fight. However, he's got to be careful. He's got to respect Reyes. Reyes isn't, scrub. He can hit hard, very, very hard. We all know that. I can see Reyes working on some level changes, trying to invest in the legs and the body early to try and finish him off with maybe a head kick, or use that straight left to try and get the knockout. But yeah, I feel like Reyes has to try and wear Yuri down. Yuri hasn't really gone a long time in his fights. Reyes has that cardio, has that history of going into the 5th round, and I feel like that's where he could be vulnerable ultimately. So I don't know where his cardio is at, but Reyes should have the advantage as the fight goes on, as far as I'm concerned. I think Yuri's going to get it done in the 2nd round, ultimately, but it really could go either way. Reyes has a lot more to lose in this fight. Really, if he loses this fight, it's hard to see where he goes next. Is he a middle-of-the-road fighter? Or, will he get... if he wins, he may be able to get the winner of Teixeira and Jan. The winner of this fight may get that. So I'm going with Yuri, but Reyes still has a quite a good chance. Like, the odds aren't too far one way or the other. In our next fight, we've got Cub Swanson versus Giga Chikadze. I have trouble saying these names. So Cub's coming off a win against Daniel Pineda, and Cub was kind of getting lit up early. His leg was really getting attacked by Pineda, to the point where it looked like Pineda was really going to win that fight quite convincingly. However, Cub exposed his lack of defense, I guess, up high. Pineda just had his hands down. I don't know why, but Cub exposed that, hit him with a nice hard left to the head at the end of the first round. And Pineda came out in the second and just didn't look quite the same. It really hurt him with his hands, and he came out in that second round in a karate stance, like literally had to hide that leg though. So his current record sitting at 27-11. He's coming off a 2-fight win streak. He's only been knocked out once in his career, so you know that he's a durable guy in the octagon, and he's very tough and unpredictable. You never know how Cub Swanson's going to come out and fight. So pretty unpredictable, Cub Swanson. Giga Chikadze is coming off a good win against Jamie Simmons. He won off a nice head kick, and Dominic Cruz really pointed that out early on, that he was looking for that head kick. And you could see he really wanted to land that body and head kick with his left leg. I think he's pretty well known for using that. I can really see him coming up with a similar game plan, seeing that Pineda really exposed, I guess, Cub's leg. I wouldn't be surprised if Giga comes in with a similar sort of game plan, looking to attack the legs early, leave him kind of open for a more head kick finish. But really, Cub Swanson is very unpredictable, so this really could go either way. I've got Giga Chikadze to win in this fight ultimately, but I wouldn't bet my house on it. Next up, we've got another light heavyweight fight. Ion Cutelaba versus Dustin Jacoby. And this morning there was or morning here in Australia anyway, at the weigh-ins, Cutelaba just came out and grabbed him around the neck, and Jacoby pushed him off, so there's a bit of tension there. Cutelaba does weird stuff like that in his fight recently. I remember he went up to his opponent. What is his opponent's name again? He got knocked out against Magomed Ankalaev. So he went up to him when they got in the octagon and kind of got in his face. So Cutelaba is coming off a 2-fight losing streak, and one of his fights ended in controversy with an early stoppage against Magomed Ankalaev. I guess this kind of alluding to what I said before, is an interesting character. He pretty much pretended to get knocked out, and the ref ran in and ended the fight. So it was really, really strange. He had the chance to redeem himself on Fight Island, but Ankalaev just knocked him out in the first round, really dominated him. Cutelaba seems like a real powerful striker. I feel he's going to want to try and end this fight sooner rather than later. Whereas Jacoby won his last fight by decision. He's had 2 fights in the UFC. He's definitely the less experienced of the two, with Cutelaba going up against more well-known names. But it's a good opportunity for Jacoby to move up in the division. He's got a wide array of striking techniques. I feel like this will be a fight of attrition again. If Jacoby can elongate the time this fight goes on, try and wear Cutelaba down, I think his cardio is better. Now, he has taken this fight on short notice, and he said he actually kind of prefers doing that because he's got less to think about. I'm going to go for the upset here. I'm going to take the underdog. I'm going to take Jacoby to win by decision. Then we've got the middleweights. We've got Sean Strickland versus Christoph Jocko. So Strickland had a really good fight against Brendan Allen. Arguably his best fight in the UFC. Really threw some good combos. It was with his hands, and they looked like, it looked like he was just kind of arm punching them, but they were really doing some damage. And his front leg took a little bit of damage. Only once did it look like it really bothered him. He's currently sitting at 22-3 in his MMA career. He's coming in as the favourite, and he's actually coming in as a real big favourite in this, which I'm a little bit surprised. Jocko's quite a good fighter, and Jocko in his last fight went up against Anders. Anders early on was really trying to use his size early on, and it looked like he might have gotten the better of him in the first round. But the rest of the fight, Jocko's really able to stop the takedown. He got a really good takedown defense. Strickland's probably not going to take the fight there. If anything, Jocko probably may need to make it look like a bit of an ugly middleweight fight, push him up against the fence, because Strickland's a really high volume striker. Jocko's a really good striker, but he's not going to be able, I don't think he can handle Strickland's pushing forward and in that high volume amount of striking. So I think Jocko's going to have to make this a bit of an ugly affair, to be honest. You know, I think that's how I see his only way of kind of winning this. I think it's going to be a good fight. I'm really surprised at how different the odds are, but I think Sean Strickland's going to get up by a decision. I don't think he's going to knock Jocko out, to be honest. So we'll have to wait and see. Because we're running out of a bit of time, I can't go too much in depth into the next two fights, but we've got Merab and Cody Starman. I'm not going to try and pronounce Merab's last name. I always stuff it up. To be honest, I probably have Merab winning this. It's going to be a good fight. But yeah, I'm going to go with Merab in that one. And then, yeah, so we've got, in the women's, we've got Poliana Boltelho and Luana Carolina. Now, another really, I guess, short odds on Poliana Boltelho compared to Luana Carolina. Luana's pretty much fighting for a UFC career. It's do or die here. She's, you know, not had the best run in the UFC, and I think that, unfortunately, she doesn't get over the line. I think Poliana probably wins this one. So we'll see how we go. May tally up my picks over the course of, you know, doing all these videos. If you guys have anything to add or your own picks, pop them down below in the comments. And yeah, we'll see you in that next video. Thanks, guys.